Hello and welcome back to Power Skills with Janna. I'm Janna Jones, your leadership development specialist, coach, and mentor. And I'm so thrilled that you're joining me today as we dive into a skill and topic that's gaining a lot more notice and traction. I dare say that it is something every leader needs in today's whirlwind of change, embracing adaptive leadership. Let's be honest. Change can feel like a storm of uncertainty, whether it's a team restructure, a new tech rollout, or navigating the hybrid work maze of opportunity and expectations of others. It's messy, complex, and sometimes utterly exhausting. But here's the truth: change is the only constant. And thankfully, it's where growth lives. It's where you, your team, and your organization can stretch, develop, innovate, and thrive. Today, we will unpack the science of staying calm under pressure, share stories of leaders who turned chaos into opportunity, and give you practical tools to lead with agility, empathy, and purpose. Inspired by the work of Ronald Heifetz's adaptive leadership framework, we'll explore how to navigate change not by controlling it, but by empowering your people to grow through it. Together, we'll reshape what is possible, one intentional choice and purposeful action at a time. If you are loving these episodes, please hit subscribe wherever you're listening from. It means the world to me, and perhaps you might even like to share this episode with a colleague or a friend. It helps us to reach much more switched on leaders like yourself. So let's dive in. As always, I want to start with the why, because change is the only constant in leadership today. Maybe your organization is rolling out process automation, or you're leading a team through a merger, or perhaps you're figuring out how to keep hybrid workers connected. These aren't just challenges, they are opportunities to lead differently. Ronald Heifetz is a pioneer in adaptive leadership, and he teaches us to distinguish between technical problems, those ones with clear fixes, like updating a broken system, and adaptive challenges, which usually have human factors, the ultimate variable. So the demand of new learning, collaboration, and mindset shifts, such as rebuilding trust after redundancies or downsizing, or fostering inclusivity and connection in a diverse team, or even a recently merged team. Neuroscience also helps to explain why adaptive challenges are tough. Uncertainty triggers your amygdala. That's the brain's alarm system, our fight or flight response, screaming for control and certainty. Your heart might start to race, your focus can narrow, and you might be tempted to dictate solutions in order to feel safe. So incredibly helpful when we're running from predators, but less helpful in our work environment these days. Adaptive leaders tap into their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that governs reasoning, empathy, and creativity, to stay calm, curious, and collaborative. They don't just solve problems, they empower their teams to co-create solutions, building resilience and innovation. I worked with a senior leader during a company merger. This is a classic adaptive challenge. His team were quite resistant. Morale was tanking, and he felt so much pressure to just fix it with some quick answers so that they could swiftly move on. Initially, he tried that with technical solutions, new schedules, clear directives, but resistance only grew. When we worked through the challenge in coaching, he shifted his mindset to considering it as an adaptive leadership opportunity, which opened up other possibilities. Instead, listening to his team's fears, involving them in decisions, and experimenting with small changes, the dynamic flipped. Resistance to the change wasn't completely gone, but his team became co-owners of the change. They had a path forward that they felt that they had forged together. That is the power of leading through uncertainty with intention rather than control. As leaders, your ability to navigate change shapes your team's culture, morale, and impacts outcomes and progress. So let's get practical and explore How to embrace adaptive leadership to turn storms into stepping stones. Step 1. Diagnose the challenge with clarity. Adaptive leadership starts with seeing the challenge clearly because not every problem needs the same approach. Heifetz's framework helps us to sort technical problems, those with known solutions like fixing a software bug, from adaptive challenges which require new behaviors like shifting a risk-adverse culture. Here's how to start to diagnose with clarity. Ask the right questions. Is this a clear fix or does it need new learning? For example, low sales might seem like a technical problem, adjusting the pricing, for example. But if it's tied to human factors such as customer service or team morale, then it's adaptive. Perhaps you might instead ask, what is the real issue here? Is there something that perhaps we aren't seeing? Map the stakeholders. Who is impacted? Who is resisting? Being able to understand their perspectives prevents reactions that may seem insensitive or only cause resistance or people to double down. Consider writing down the key players, those in your team, your peers, or your clients, and their concerns. Walk in their shoes. Note that these are also the people that may be able to help with more valuable solutions. Pause for clarity. Neuroscience shows that pausing and deep breathing, in through the nose and out through pursed lips, can help reduce amygdala-driven stress. Letting your prefrontal cortex assess the situation a lot more rationally instead of the amygdala hijack. Even a 10-second breath can help to shift your perspective. I supported a VP recently who thought his team's low productivity was due to a skills gap, a technical fix. He could just send them on a course, right? He planned costly training programs, but nothing changed. After taking the time to diagnose and ask the right questions, he realized that it was an adaptive challenge, fear of failure in a high-pressure culture. By addressing the trust gap through open forums, he unlocked performance without a single training session. When done right, an adaptive challenge can actually save time, money, and morale. But I get it, because change can feel incredibly overwhelming, especially as a leader, because you are likely going through the change and maybe putting your own challenges aside in order to take a stand for your team. It can feel like you're supposed to have all the answers. But here's the secret. You don't need to. Start instead with curiosity rather than control. It helps to maintain your integrity while things are still uncertain. Just like we reframed networking over in the last episode to remove that ick factor, diagnose first and you're halfway to leading effectively. Step 2, regulate stress, both yours and your team's. Change does trigger stress for you and your team. Adaptive leaders tend to manage it better with emotional intelligence, creating space for growth instead. So let's consider how you might regulate in your own way. Practice mindful pauses. Before reacting to a crisis, take a deep breath or count to 10. Remember we talked about calming the amygdala. Instead, we want to boost clarity and empathy. It's like hitting the reset button on your brain's panic button. I worked with a group of execs that realized they often reacted unhelpfully, I might add, in high-stress situations. The amygdala hijack meant that they were firing off solutions that were band-aids at best, without really understanding the problem. They wrote themselves a little reminder in offices on top of whiteboards that said, respond, don't react. And that worked for them. So figure out whatever it is that's going to work for you. Perhaps name the emotions. Acknowledge what you and your team feel. Is it fear, frustration, or even excitement? Research by Dan Siegel shows that naming emotions helps us to understand them and reduces their intensity, making space for problem solving instead. Role model resilience. Share how you're navigating the change. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it builds trust. Perhaps you might say something like, I get it. I'm feeling the pressure too, but I'm approaching it by considering the opportunities. Here's how I think it may end up working out in our favor, actually. I coached a leader during a hybrid work transition. Her team was incredibly anxious about new workflows, and she was also stressed out about meeting deadlines. Initially, she pushed harder, but resistance only grew. Then she tried check ins, short meetings to highlight challenges, offer support, and share ideas. She opened up about her own challenges as well, like balancing virtual and in person leadership, and invited her team to share what was and wasn't working for them. That vulnerability created psychological safety, and her team adapted faster, proposing solutions she had not even considered. By regulating her own stress in that situation, she shifted from anxiety into action. Stress is not our enemy here. It is a signal, though. Use it to connect rather than control. That's where adaptive leadership will truly shine. Step 3, empower others to co-create solutions. Adaptive leadership is not about being the hero with all the answers. It's about empowering your team to find them. Heifetz calls this giving the work back. Let's consider how. You might want to start to delegate authority. Give your team ownership of a challenge, such as brainstorming solutions for a process shift. Trust them to experiment, even if it's messy. Adaptive challenges never have a single linear solution anyway. Foster cross-pollination. Diverse perspectives spark innovation. Perhaps you might consider inviting input from different roles, technical disciplines, departments, or even industries. A fresh set of eyes may help you to ask different questions or challenge held beliefs. You never know. That may make all of the difference. Ask, don't tell. Use questions instead, like, what can we do to address this? Or what's holding us back? That helps to ignite creativity and a focus on solutions, empowering a sense of ownership in others. Working with a leader facing a supply chain disruption, which is a very adaptive challenge, his instinct was to dictate new vendor contracts to navigate this, but it wasn't quite going to work out. So instead, he empowered his team to explore local suppliers and test out some smaller partnerships. One junior team member suggested a community-based model that saved costs, improved delivery and turnaround times, and built trust with local partners. By giving the work back, his team didn't just solve the problem, they owned the solution, boosting morale and innovation. Empowering others isn't just effective, it's inspiring. It's about creating a culture where everyone grows through change. Step 4, experiment and learn through the change. Adaptive challenges do not have quick fixes. They require testing and learning. So let's consider how you might start to experiment effectively. Start small, perhaps. Run a low-risk pilot like a new meeting format or flexible hybrid work and a leadership solution just for one team. Small experiments can reduce that fear of failure as well. Reflect and adjust. After each challenge, you may start asking questions such as, what worked? What didn't? What is now possible? Reflection strengthens neural pathways for problem solving. Normalize iteration. Rome wasn't built in a day. Share that pivoting is okay. A culture of learning, even from our mistakes, encourages risk-taking and resilience. A healthcare leader requested the opportunity to test a new patient feedback system with one department before a full rollout. The team's input revealed the flaws early on, saving time and resource and frustrations when full rollout came around. By embracing experimentation, she turned uncertainty into opportunity. I've done this myself when I tried a new learning platform format. I started with a small group, tweaked it based on feedback, and now it's a foundation. Iteration is definitely your friend in change. And step 5, celebrate adaptability to build resilience. Celebrating progress fuels motivation and resilience. Yep, you guessed it. This is our final step. Always celebrating your successes. Here is how you might like to make it work in a way that is truly authentic to you. Acknowledge effort. Recognize the small wins. It might be a team member's creative solution or a successful pilot or receiving valuable feedback. Dopamine from recognition reinforces adaptability. Share stories. Highlight how your team navigated change, like Stephen Covey's subway story in our unconscious bias episode. Stories humanize things, inspire, and make it real for people. Reflect together. Host a team debrief. Celebrate and learn. You can build significant trust and momentum in this way. I coached a leader who celebrated her team's first successful hybrid meeting by reaching out to the comms team to put a shout out in the company newsletter, naming the team members and showing how they brought their collective ideas to life for full engagement. This small act boosted morale and encouraged more adaptability. Team members started proposing new ideas impromptu. Another personal example, I remember once thanking a client for their bold faith and investment in their emerging leaders at the start of a new leadership program, and it sparked a ripple effect of courage in that team. People at the end of sessions would want to actually contribute by acknowledging someone and the courage that they had as part of that session as well. Celebration is not just fluff, it is fuel for continued courage and resilience. All right, let's jump straight into 5 power practices to embrace and amplify adaptive leadership. Do a change audit. Identify one current challenge. Is it technical or is it adaptive? Mindfully pause. Perhaps that might be taking a few deep breaths or even counting to 10 seconds before a tough decision to calm your stress response. Empower a fresh voice. Perhaps you might like to ask a quieter team member for their input this week. Run a micro experiment. Is there one small change that you might test out? Jeff Bezos talked about one-way and two-way door decisions. A two-way door is one that you can easily walk back through if it doesn't work out. That would be a great one to test. Perhaps that might be something like a new team ritual or a process tweak. Celebrate a win. Thank your team for adapting to the challenge and note the impact of that acknowledgement as well. All right, friends, let's pause. Grab a pen, if it's safe for you to do so, of course, or just think through these. I have some reflection questions to really ignite your focus here. What is one challenge you are facing right now? Is it technical or is it adaptive? How might you regulate stress responses to lead with more clarity and empathy? How could you empower others around you to co-create a solution this week? How will you celebrate a step towards adaptability? These questions are your fuel for action. Remember, if you're anything like me and you listen to your podcast while you're in transit, you can subscribe to our Power Pause email each week via www.powerskillsdevelopment.com, and you can revisit these Power Pause questions anytime that's convenient for you. So your challenge for this week, should you choose to accept it, pick one adaptive challenge, perhaps something like improving team collaboration or navigating a new process. If it's helpful for you, set a smarter goal around it. I personally like to do this with all of my goals, a bit of habit stacking, a flex maybe. Something along the lines of, this week I'll host a 15-minute brainstorming session with my team to address one challenge. I'll track their ideas and celebrate with a shout out for all contributors. Share that goal with a colleague to make it stick, someone that's going to hold you accountable. That first step can create a powerful ripple effect, allowing you and your team to overcome any challenge together. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today on Power Skills with Janna. Embracing adaptive leadership isn't just about controlling change. It's about navigating it with curiosity, empathy, and collaboration. By focusing on adaptability, you amplify your team's resilience and your own leadership impact. If this episode has sparked something in you, or if you're keen to try some of your own power practices, I would love to hear about it. Please do not hesitate to connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Power Skills Development, or visit www.powerskillsdevelopment.com for more tools and resources. You can also subscribe to the Power Pause, as I mentioned. That's our weekly email nudges to lead with intention. And if you know a leader who could use a little adaptability in their complex and challenging world, please don't hesitate to share this episode so we can grow and develop together. Until next time, stay curious, stay intentional, and remember to lead through change wisely, empower powerfully, and create possibilities together, one step at a time. Enjoy the rest of your week.